How's it? Sean here from Mel's YouTube book site YouTube channel, The Fool. Alright, we're going to start with The Fool, The Fool's Journey. So let's have a look at the card. What does the card say to you? Okay, here we've got a guy. He seems like he doesn't have a care in the world. He's not actually looking where he's going. And he's just going to be stepping over a cliff here. There's danger ahead. He's not aware of it. And there's a dog over here that's trying to warn him about it, but he doesn't even see the dog. And he's carrying a flower here. Okay, and the flower represents happiness, love, and peace in the world. So that's why he's got this flower. And a knapsack, because he's starting a new beginning. He's on a new journey. And the sun is shining. Everything's great. But here's the danger. He doesn't know what's going on. He's not aware. He's not even looking down. He's not looking ahead. He's just walking. His head's up in the sky here. And the dog's trying to warn him. So that represents the fool. So intuition, like the video 2 videos ago when I explained to you how intuition works, always look at the cards. And then the meanings will come out to you, what they are, because each card is in context driven for the situation. So the cards tell everything about the specific, what you're talking about. In terms of the Fool, that's what I see in the Fool. And it shows you here on the card. All right, so let's get started. We will now begin the Fool's life journey. It will help you better understand. It will give you a better understanding of why we all go through a journey of changes throughout our lives in order to spiritually grow. As we go along in the next lessons, I will go through each of the major arcana cards, their meanings and interpretations in the 10 positions of the Celtic Cross. Then we will deal with the second set, the minor arcana cards, tarot cards. All right, so let's start with The Fool's Journey by Joan Bunning. All right, the first 22 cards of the deck are called the major arcana, or the major trumps. When arranged in numerical order, they tell a story which is often called the Fool's Journey. This is the story of the myth. It is the same story that shows up over and over again in every culture on the planet. It is archetypal and connects the collective human consciousness. The fool at the beginning of his journey is innocent and pure, but at the same time protected. It is a story of the innocent youth who has no idea of what dangers lie ahead. But his innocence protects him, and as he grows, he learns to face death and pain. Through the adventure, he eventually becomes a hero. Okay, so 0 represents the fool. Stands outside the rest of the major cards. 0 is an unusual number, poised between the positive and the negative. At birth, he is set in the middle of his own individual world. He is strangely empty, as is the 0, but imbued with a desire to go forth and learn. We begin with the Fool, that's the 0, he's a 0, a card of beginnings. The Fool stands for each of us as we begin our journey of life. He is a fool, because only a simple soul has the innocent faith to undertake such a journey with all its hazards and pain. He is newborn, fresh, open and spontaneous, and is ready to embrace all, unaware of the hardships he will face as he ventures out to learn the lessons of the world. So that picture, that card, the Fool, you see where it describes all of this. So the picture on the card, really, this aptly describes that, the Fool. Okay. Characters in the Fool's journey. These are people involved with the Fool in his journey through life. The Magician and the High Priestess, the great balancing forces that make up the perceived world. Let's start with the first one, the Magician. The Fool's spiritual father, able to manifest, represents the active masculine power of creative impulse, a force that has the ability and tools to allow us to impact the world through concentration and individual willpower. Number 2, the High Priestess, the Fool's spiritual mother, becoming aware, represents the passive feminine power, providing fertile ground in which creative events occur. Mysterious and unconscious, knowing and feeling the intuition we can't explain, but know we must follow. Okay, the Temperance, number 3, the Fool's earthly mother, nurturing, represents nature, sensations, creativity, fertility, and something new. As he grows, the Fool becomes more aware of his surroundings. Like most babies, he first recognizes his mother, the warm, loving woman who nourishes him and takes care of him. As a baby, he delights in exploring everything he touches, tastes, smells, and what he hears and sees enchants his senses. It is natural to delight in the abundant goodness of Mother Earth, who surrounds us with her support. All right, so number 4, the Emperor, the fool's earthly father, structure and power, represents authority and rules. As a baby, as a baby leaves his mother's arms, he learns there are things he has to face and deal with. And the child experiences a new kind of pleasure that comes from discovering order. People in authority will enforce such guidelines. These restrictions can be frustrating, but through patient direction of the father, the fool begins to understand the purpose. 5. The Hierophant, the fool's teacher, group beliefs and education, represents organized belief systems. The young child is exposed to beliefs and traditions of his culture and begins his formal education. He learns to identify with a group and conforms, discovering a sense of belonging. Although the Hierophant's image is religious, it is really a symbol for initiations of all kinds. The Lovers, number 6, relationships and own beliefs, represents sexual unions and values. The fool is no longer a child and eventually faces two new challenges. He experiences the powerful urge for sexual union with another person. Before this, he was mainly self-centered, but now feels the balancing tendency to reach out and become part of a loving partnership. As he grows at some point, he needs to decide upon his own beliefs and determine his own values if he is to be true to himself. All right, so number 7, the Chariot, mastery and willpower, represents visible control and assertiveness. Adulthood and a vigorous ego crowns the fool's achievements so far. The fool goes to battles with others and within himself. We see a proud, commanding figure riding victoriously through his world. For the moment, his success is all he may wish for. The card also refers to travel. The fool's finished his studies, either college or university, and feels the urge to see the world before settling down to anything concrete. Okay, so now we start with part 2 of the fool's journey. The fool's mortal experiences. Where these are experiences we learn through the experiences of the flesh, followed by what we would call the 7 mortal or moral lessons: strength, truth, justice, sacrifice, transition, and balance. Okay, so number 8, strength. Mortal lesson number 1, humbleness and tolerance, represents patience, tolerance, and a softer power. Egotistical and boastful, the fool has alienated his friends and family, who now call him Mr. Know-It-All. Alone without friends to watch his back, he realizes he needs to change his attitude and summons up the strength to face the music. Humbly, with cap in hand, he apologizes for his past behavior and promises to treat others with the respect that they deserve. Okay, so number 9, the Hermit. Mortal lesson number 2, the need to find the deeper truth, represents solitude and the search for the truth. This is a search for truth, not a group activity. We all have to find our own truth. This doesn't mean we live alone nor have no people around us, but this is a journey in life we have to take on our own. The fool needs to look inward and try to understand these feelings and motivations. The sensual world holds less attraction for him, and he seeks moments of solitude. He needs to learn and listen and maybe seek a guide to help him find the truth before he can reach the next level. All right, number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Mortal lesson number 3, karma and destiny. Represents a change of luck, and the Wheel of Fortune says a change is coming. After much soul searching, the fool begins to see how everything connects. He may recognize his destiny in the sequence of events that led to this turning point. Having been solitary, he feels ready for movement and action again. The fool is about to see a change in his life and luck. Justice. Number 11, mortal lesson number 4, wisdom and knowledge, represents the ability to consider facts and make fair judgments. This may literally mean that there is a legal situation coming up. It can also refer to the balance of making decisions through wisdom and knowledge. The fool looks at his life to trace the cause and effects of the relationships that brought him to this point in his life. He must now take responsibility for his actions so that he can wipe the slate clean. This is the time he needs to make firm decisions in order to move to the next level. Okay, number 12, the hangman. Mortal lesson number 5. Sacrifice and letting go. Represents sacrifice of parts of self, so the self may live to grow and prosper. Undaunted, the fool pushes on and finds life is not so easy to control. Sooner or later, he encounters his personal cross, an experience at first that feels impossible to endure. The overwhelming challenges humbles him until he has no choice but to let go. To his amazement, he finds that when he relinquishes his struggle to control, everything begins to work as it should. By becoming open and vulnerable, the fool discovers that the miraculous support for his inner self. In a sense, his life has been turned upside down, but in truth, he's gained serenity and peace. Number 13, death. Mortal lesson number 6, transition and exorable change. Represents an ending of a way of life that is no longer appropriate. This does not mean a real death, but a figurative one. The fool, as he grows, begins to eliminate old habits, relationships, and tired approaches. If death is fought, it's painful. If the fool can accept it and move past it, realizing it is not a permanent state, the transition to a new and fulfilling life is waiting. Okay, so number 14, temperance. Mortal lesson number 7, balancing and health. Represents moderation. Remember the Bible saying that God created all and what he saw was good. In other words, everything is good but in moderation. Inner balance made from more than facts. This is the balance that is more than justice. It is the emotional balance that lets us become more flexible without going overboard. Sorry. Since embracing the hermit, the fool has swung wildly back and forth on an emotional pendulum. By experiencing the extremes, he has come to appreciate moderation. The fool has combined all aspects of himself into a centered whole that glows with health and well-being. The fool has come a long way in realizing that life can be harmonious if he can just keep to his resolutions. All right, so let's start with part 3, the fool's descent into the underworld. Okay, after the fool learns the lessons he can learn through regular life, he begins to go into the underworld. Spiritually, this is going through pain and suffering and the hell we make for ourselves in this life. Number 15, the devil, bondage, ignorance, and hopelessness. Represents the knot of ignorance lodged within each one of us at some level. The fool has his health, peace of mind. What more can he ask for? Not much, but the fool is adventurous and wants to pursue his deepest levels of being, and thus comes face to face with the devil. We live in a limited range of experience. The seductive attractions of the material bind us so compellingly that we often do not realize we have become slaves to them. The fool must realize the price of ignorance is an inner core of despair, and must free himself from its bonds to grow and reach the next stage in his journey. Okay, number 16, the tower. Bolt of lightning, shattered structure, and revelation. Okay, represents society structures or the ego fortress we build around us that seems to protect us, but is really a prison. The fool needs a severe shake-up if he is to free himself. Sometimes only a monumental crisis can smash the walls of the tower he has built. A swift change can be painful, something will be shattered, but the resulting revelation makes the painful experience worthwhile. Remember though, when the tower is shattered, the foundation is still left. Rebuilding on that foundation is still possible. Okay, so part 4, the fool's transcendence of mortality. Okay, after the fool goes to hell, he grows from his pain and faces his devils. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Only through pain do we gain compassion and understanding. After that, the light of the truth is free to shine down and complete the cycle. Okay, number 17, the star, serenity, hope, and inspiration. Represents a beacon of hope and inspiration. The fool is blessed with a trust that completely replaces the negative energies of the devil. His faith in himself and the future is restored. Now a hero, he finds his own inner light and his own destiny. It is the light that we follow. It is what shows us the path that is ours and nobody else's. The peace after the storm is a magical moment for the fool. Okay, number 18, the moon. Illusion, fear, imagination, and psychic abilities. Represents illusions, daydreaming, and unclear perceptions that can mean there are things that are hidden nearby. The fool learns much, but there's still much that is unseen or illusory. The fool's joy is a feeling state. His positive emotions are not yet subject to mental clarity. The moon stimulates his creative imagination, but deep-seated fears and anxieties also arise and may cause the fool to feel lost and bewildered. Okay, number 19, the sun. Enlightenment, assurance, vitality, and greatness. Represents lucid clarity, joy, and the realization of greatness. Joy and brightness directs the fool's imagination. It dispels the clouds of confusion and fear. After a long-suffering journey, he now enjoys vibrant energy. He is full of enthusiasm and is able to realize his greatness. 20. Judgment. A calling, absolved, reborn, and wiping the slate clean. Represents a calling, forgiveness, and to be reborn. The fool feels absolved. He forgives himself and others. He discovers that joy, not fear, is his life's center. The fool's higher self is calling him to rise up and fulfill his promise. He discovers his true vocation, his reason for entering this life. Doubts and hesitation vanish, and he's ready to follow his dream. Number 21, the world. Fulfillment, accomplishment, and the end or beginning of a new cycle. A circle that represents a cycle that is now complete. The fool re-enters the world, this time with more complete understanding. He has integrated all the desperate parts of himself and achieved wholeness. His accomplishments are many, and he's reached a new level of happiness and fulfillment. So, the fool's journey was not so foolish after all. Through perseverance, he re-established the spontaneous courage that first impelled him on his search for self. The cycle is over, but the fool will never stop growing. Soon he'll be ready to begin a new journey that will lead him to greater levels of understanding. Okay, so the Celtic Cross positions, the positions of the cards, what they represent at those specific positions. Okay, number 1, significator, querent at the present time. Position 2, challenging the querent at present time. Position 3, the root or cause at the present time. Position 4, the past leading into the near future. Number 5, position 5, crowning the querent is either good or troubling, an alternative future. 6, the near future of what may transpire. 7, fear of what may transpire, causes and choices to be made. Position 8, thoughts on how others see the querent. Position 9, hopes and fears. And position 10, future outcome. All right, so let's look at all the cards and how they aligned. You've got this part over here. This is the cross, and this is the staff. All right, so card number 1, the first position is the querent. That's the first position of the card, the querent. Second card, second position is the flag, challenge. Third is the root cause. Fourth is the past. 5 is the crowning. That's the alternative future. 6 is the near future. 7, which leads into the staff, is fears and cause. 8, how others see you. 9, hopes and fears. And 10, future outcome. All right, so those are the positions of the Celtic Cross. That's how the cards are laid out. All right, so, okay, here's the fool with the dog that's trying to save him, and he's not even aware of it. Okay, so 0, the fool. Innocence, impulsive, and naive. Keywords, naive, faith, and trust. Number 1, characteristics. Naive, spontaneous, foolhardy, and impulsive. 2, on the brink of change and taking a leap into the unknown, at the crossroads in life, facing an opportunity and abandoning the old way of life, following your heart, a new life decision by taking a chance, able to create new possibilities in your life. The meanings and interpretation of the Fool in the Celtic Cross positions. So these are the key meanings in each position where the Fool ends up in on the Celtic Cross. So this would be the meaning if he ends up in that number key 1, number key 2 flag position. This is the meaning you would attain to that meaning of the Fool that's ended up there. What would it mean in the cards? So if the Fool begins in key 1, which is the first card, the first position, this represents a person who is a pioneer, someone who's willing to take risks in order to advance or promote growth. Eager, optimistic, open-minded, and innocent. This person is searching for something meaningful in life. Caution against taking actions not well thought through. Interpretation: you have a feeling you are well protected and all will work out. Situation: are you considering a new adventure? B. In what area of your life are you operating purely on faith and trust? Do you have a serious understanding of the issues at hand? So the Fool ends up in flag position 2, in the flag position, which is called the position number 2. This represents actions not well thought out, inclinations without a plan, purpose, or goal, naive and foolhardy. The challenge with this: A. You don't have a problem this time. B. You shouldn't take the problem too seriously. Lighten up. Situation: A. This could be the beginnings of a new quest. Okay, the position number 3, the Fool ends up there. The root position represents a foolish choice or decision that has landed in the present, that is developing and following a course. 4. Position 4 represents that you have made foolish choices, hasty, unthought out decisions. Okay, crowning position. The Fool ends up in the crowning position, reveals openness to new situation, complete trust. There is a risk involved if not thinking through the situation prior to taking action. 6. Near future position. Following your heart, you may be embarking on a new way of life at the crossroads in life and making a decision, abandoning an old way of life. 7. Fear position represents the fear of letting go and being out of control. 8. Judgment position represents someone who is seen to lack commitment but is open, trustworthy, and innocent. Okay, so the position number 9, the hope position, represents a wish to be free, to come and go without restrictions or responsibility. Hope for a time without worry and concern. Okay, position 10, future outcome position, choosing your own path and your own set of rules and an adventure or a new opportunity. Optimism and trust, going with the flow. Okay, so the Fool. 0 represents the Fool. The element is air. The planet is Uranus. The Hebrew letter is Aleph. Its Hebrew translation for that is ox. All right, so the actions. Beginning, spontaneous, having faith, and embracing folly. These are the opposing cards. The Hierophant, routine, following convention. Death, ending, closing down. The Devil, feeling cynical, lack of faith. The Two of Swords, holding back, blocking off experience. The Four of Pentacles, order and regularity. The reinforcing cards is the Hangman, having faith, going with the flow. Okay, the Star is also a reinforcing card. Innocence, faith, and trust. Judgment is also a reinforcing card. Rebirth, new starts. And of course, the Three of Wands, expanding horizons, going into unexplored territory. Okay, so that's it for the Fool, the Fool's journey. Hey, that's it. That represents us, the Fool's journey in our lives. There he is over there. Let me just scroll up to him. There he is there. Not a care in the world. That's how we start our lives, with the dog's trying to save us, but we're not even looking where we're going. So that's the Fool. So in our next video, and be sure to watch it, we're going to do the Magician. All right, that'll be for the next video. All right. So please like this video. Please like it, share it with everybody you know, and subscribe to our channel. We're doing the complete set of cards, major and minor arcana cards for the tarot. We're doing a whole course on this. And so please subscribe to we're growing this channel as well. So please subscribe, press that red button. Until the magician, our next video. And also, don't forget to leave comments and suggestions and tips and whatever you want on the channel, please, so we know that you're there. So, as I was saying, until our next video with the magician, this is Sean from Mel's YouTube Booksite YouTube channel. Good day on you.